Yep, it's going.
Alright, well, today, class, we're going to be talking about the English involvement in the New World, as known as America, and how they treated Indians. To begin us off, we're going to start with some current events going around the world. So, let's hear with some current events.
Like India?
That relate?
No, just like in like general, just any time in the world, like in today's times.
Today's time?
Yeah.
Current events?
There's some tariffs going on with Donald.
Yeah, there is some terrorist
with
deal.
the Don, I call
Has he been impeached yet?
him.
What do you got for us?
He also fake bakes.
He does. And there's nothing wrong with fake bacon. It's free sometimes.
Fake bacon?
What do you got for us, Mark?
What the hell did you
Awesome.
Where'd you go?
Hey, you watch my language in my classroom.
Let's see. We got, what do we got? Hold on.
Keith,
I'm sorry.
you got something?
Keegan's
Well,
got
we're
it.
doing more current
March Madness is about to start.
Yeah, March Madness is about to
Oh,
start.
NCAA just made $1 billion for the first time ever,
Really?
which will just add to the fuel of them where they should pay players. So that's a big controversial topic in media.
Amazon wants to stop Alexa from laughing, apparently.
Oh, kind of sad.
True, relax.
What do you got for us?
Current events. Actually,
Donald's
Mike
still
Pence
president.
came a couple days ago and endorsed Pete Ricketts.
Yeah, he came to Omaha. Yeah.
Mike Pence was in Omaha. Great.
Oh, okay.
Gross.
Yeah, he got to Nebraska.
Gross.
No, I know,
Gross.
it's Omaha. All
Yeah, I
right.
don't like him though. Just current event.
Keegan
Yeah.
loves Pence.
Ugh.
Pence power.
All right. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about the reasons for the involvement in the New World. Then we're gonna talk about how the treatment of Indians, and then we're gonna create our own Wikipedia page on how Indians were treated. So to begin us off, we'll go back with Spain and how Spain explored the new world. Started with Christopher Columbus, as we all know, found the new land, found big riches like gold, steel, stone, all that. Treatment of Indians, a lot of religious stuff, but not really. They were in it for the money. They didn't really care about the Indians. They often overthrew them, like with the Aztecs. They forced them into labor to make things. Spain's kind of setting the prime example of what to do with Indians. So other countries who've yet to go to the New World are going to look at Spain and see how they treated it. Spain also at the time was a huge power, probably one of the biggest. So we'll go to English at the time. English was going through a Reformation with Martin Luther, and they were breaking away from Christianity, switching to a Protestant. Had to do with stuff with purgatory and how long you spend time in hell and reducing it and whatnot. This was the time when the New World was starting to get found. They were looking at Spain, seeing how rich they got. They wanted to do the same, just like everyone else. They wanted to make money. Many Spaniards walked away with becoming rich, so they wanted to do the same thing. However, Spain traveled around the Mexican area, and as we all know, England did the North America part. Englishmen, their power wasn't huge, but they're still pretty big power. Colonists' treatment of Indians. What's that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how did Martin Luther influence religion?
Well, he's a German guy in the 1500s who started noticing that Christianity was pretty corrupt. A lot of priests were in it for the money, and so Christianity was in it for the money.
Was he the one with the 99 Theses?
Yeah. So he created a thing, the 99 Theses, and posted on the church doors saying we should break away from Christianity because they're in it for the money. And he said if you're gonna believe in something, you gotta fully believe in it. You could say go jump off a bridge and you'll survive, but the difference is if you believe that, you'd actually jump off of it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So colonist treatment, religion. Spain was Christian, Christian nation. England wasn't. Okay, so other Protestants who were English, or wanting to treat wanted to show Indians that they were better than Christians, so they did small things to make them look better. Although sometimes they didn't really meet eye to eye on those things, but overall Protestants wanted to treat Indians better than Christians did. You also have Puritans who were very far-sighted of the Protestant. They believed that like Indians didn't have God, but like they knew that they would be like willing to accept God, but they didn't have God. Money, they had a lot of cash crops, tobacco, and a lot of the crops took land, which treatment of land is like very like, they don't see eye to eye on how they treat land. Indians like take care of their land, they're like all about the land, whereas in like the colonists, they were like wanting to use the land to make their own money, so they didn't really meet eye to eye. You have the Powhatan tribes, just attacks on Americans because they didn't really meet eye to eye with how they saw land. And then eventually you saw the Trail of Tears, which were Indians getting kicked out of America to go find their own land. Going back even further, this is the Aztecs. This is just showing how big of a great power they were. And then comparing it to like how Spain was, that'd be like nothing. In Spain overall, they conquered over the city. So it's really setting like a window to see how like other people are going to treat them. So the thing was, you could easily take down the things. Settlement of Jamestown. A lot of people don't know what happened to it. Theories like go that like Indians attacked them, ambushed them. Jamestown, of course, is the first English settlement. And this is the Trail of Tears. You can see women crying, Indian. They're getting forced off their land and getting sent to like Oklahoma, which is pretty far away. We're gonna watch a short YouTube vid clip of how like the treatment of Indians would go like into the future. Here we are.
The video showed a lot of Indians killing a lot of American soldiers. Like the Indians won.
Well, yeah, they really, in the end, that's not how it happened, but there was a lot of conflicts between colonists and Indians. But I guess at that time, those Americans weren't really colonists. They were probably more American at that time, breaking away from England. But that's kind of like how to show that how the treatment of Indians would go on. It kind of lays out like the storyline that treatment of Indians were never okay to begin with. We usually treated them poorly. Any other questions? Really? Okay. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna create a wiki, and we're gonna like show the differences between like the American colonists and the Indians. We're gonna show how the, or you can tell us how England's culture like is different from Indians' culture and how that affects them. So yeah, let's create this wiki, dude.
How do you create a wiki?
Oh yeah, so for this purpose we're just gonna like create a Google Doc, but you can easily go online and create a Wikipedia. Pretty easy, but for this we're just gonna use a Google Docs.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so
Keegs, you gonna do it here?
alright, so we can talk about like British's culture and whatnot.
So basically, we can. So British. So we're just doing similarities and differences. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Indian. So we could say like British, or had like a religion. Like Spot was just like one, like either Catholic, Protestant, or whatever it was
Yeah.
at the time, which was mostly basically just a real belief in like a monotheistic, one God. Where Indians, I think they like worship multiple gods.
Yeah, I mean I don't really think
Well, they're like multiple gods and like kind of like animals. And, like,
yeah, they believe in like the heavens and certain
Yeah.
things.
So
They just find
it's more like not God,
different
but it's
things
like
more spiritual.
Yeah,
like
that's
They don't
spirits,
necessarily
right?
believe animals are God.
It's
yeah,
probably from, like,
it's more like
Catholics.
spirits. They believe in spirits, I think.
Yeah.
British, one God. British, they had guns, and the Indians did not for the most part.
Superior technology.
Yeah, definitely. Horses too, I guess.
Well, they both had
Horses,
horses.
Yeah.
Are we taught just like throughout, or initially, the colonists had? Initially, the colonists
like straight from the
weren't
get-go.
all that. Besides guns, they weren't.
Indians were, like,
technologically-
native
They
or-
didn't have. They didn't know how to farm. They didn't know how to do anything.
The main advantage that the colonists had was, well, biology, germs.
Germ,
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess
disease.
that's a big thing I didn't talk about was
Disease.
the disease spreading around and like smallpox killing like 99% of the Indians or
Yeah.
something at the time.
Yeah, British had better immune systems.
Yeah, because domesticated
sure.
animals and whatnot.
Boats.
They lived with the pigs in
Yeah.
Europe.
Which is honestly a big reason why I guess Indians were probably bullied so much because small population, they do what they want.
Indians, they
So
Were wiped out
let's
from
move on to like after
disease.
the revolution now.
Yeah.
disease.
So now, what colonists versus Indians after the revolution? What were the differences?
Colonists did like the forced removal of the
Yeah,
Indians.
they did have to forcibly remove Indians. Drive tears.
And
Trail of Tears was
Andrew
a
Jackson's
while,
time.
yeah. That
Yeah.
was-
Andrew Jackson enabled it.
Andrew Jackson, he was a big hater.
Yeah, which initially, like the Congress or the big judicial system, like they favored with the
The
Indians.
Supreme Court ruled that
Yeah.
it was unjust to mess with their land, but Andrew Jackson didn't really care.
Yeah, he vetoed it.
It's
and
like
never kicking
I
them
think it's
out.
like the only time in history that a president's gone against a
I think
Supreme
you're right,
Court
yeah.
ruling,
Which honestly, is
Like,
a pretty big power.
which is a pretty big deal.
Wasn't the thing like, yeah, you made your decision, but try to enforce it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's literally what he said. He said
Actually,
like,
yeah.
he said, okay, well you Supreme Court can go and
Yes.
force us from like, because the Georgians took all the land from the
Yeah.
Cherokee and all that. Yeah, but all right, what else do we got? Trail of Tears. What exactly was the Trail of Tears?
the forced removal of the Indians
Yeah,
from
to
their
help
homeland.
them.
Specifically,
But they were like
of,
forced on
like,
a
the
trail,
Cherokee
and they were
and
like
the
forced to
Choctaw
walk on
yeah.
foot.
And many of them didn't even make it. And the
Yeah.
land they were forced to
And then
go
if they
to,
died along the way because of like disease and hardships, and they just
Disease,
left
bullshit.
them.
Didn't really care. especially many of the land that they're going to is already like
It wasn't.
lived on or by other Indians,
Yeah.
so they had to be like forced to live in another relationship with other Indians.
Yeah, they got moved to Indian territory, which wasn't really.
British forced American education on the Indians.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Anything? Let's see. Religion. Yeah, talked about
Yeah,
that. Anything else?
Nah.
Like
Well,
differences, like
I would say one of the big things about the Trail of Tears was that, and just throughout history with the Indians and the colonization. First of all, Indians isn't the proper term. It's Native Americans.
Native Americans, yeah.
But just the colonists, the U.S. government, every white man ever considered Native Americans, all of them, as one. Like they didn't recognize each nation, each tribe or each nation, and they didn't realize how complex and how a lot of these nations had governments and were sovereign, and that was a lot of their justification for doing what they did, because they said that they were wild and savages, but in reality they were plenty sovereign, and
Like
there's
French
even
got along
the
with
Iroquois even actually helped Ben Franklin.
I think the French got along with them because they had a vetted interest.
The French,
in
yeah,
the Indians.
and the French didn't care all that much about the land, but more about things like furs and resources. And the Native Americans wanted guns. They realized that, they weren't stupid. They wanted the new technology, so that's what they do. They
I think
traded.
it's weird that like we like traded with them, but at the end we always still treated them like they were nothing.
Yeah.
But like Indians like showed that.
What's going on with Native Americans in the U.S. government right now?
Casinos maybe. I
No,
honestly
the
couldn't-
pipeline.
Yeah, what about the
Oh yeah, the pipeline. Something like in South Dakota or something, and then like it was a big like no against it, but they did it anyway, and then it like spilt and it ruined a lot of their land.
Isn't that the funny thing?
That's fine.
Did it get passed? I don't think it's happened
I
yet,
thought it
but
did.
that's the fear.
Well, yeah, no, it hasn't been built yet. There's still parts of Nebraska that don't want it to go through. The Sandhills. There was a Keystone XL pipeline that went through a different part of Canada that spilt. That like.
But was it native land?
I don't know exactly.
The one now is the deal's the native land.
Yeah.
That's
No. Oh yeah. I mean, it's the same thing, but Nebraska is the one that's like holding it up. Pretty sure. But yeah, there was a pipeline that spilled that was built by the same company. Not too long after all that stuff went down.
If they do put the pipeline, that's another time that the U.S. government broke a treaty with a native nation. So yeah, they're still getting screwed by the government.
Guess we'll never learn from our past, and it's sad because we still know about this stuff, like it's genocide kind of.
Things are getting better though. I mean,
I know,
like we're not quite. I don't think the pipeline's gonna work out. I don't think it'll ever.
Probably.
I mean, with Trump in office, who the hell knows? But most people wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah, I know. I think the general population is against it, but it's business side, I guess.
Closing notes. You're at 19 minutes, so
Yeah, I'm good.
good.
You
All
guys
right.
have any other questions?
Nope.
No?
Good.
All right.